mystery and the unconscious, Christ, culture, and character. In the Hebrew Bible, wisdom literature, the writer of Proverbs, the 23rd chapter and the 7th verse has said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she." Consider this morning, as a man thinketh, or as a woman thinketh. Your thoughts significantly shape your character. You are what you think and not what you think you are. Let's say that again. You are what you think and not what you think you are. Along with other aspects of character, if you are what you think, then who are you? Are you one who accepts yourself with your limitations? Do you have a sense of responsibility for your actions? Are you able to improve your resilience, your ability to get on with life? Do you have a realistic self-esteem? Do you have a capacity for intimacy, genuine intimacy in relationships? Do you have a moral sensibility? Do you have awareness of others as separate people and not just as an extension of yourself? Is there a continuity between who you were yesterday and who you are today and who we expect you to be tomorrow? How many of us go through life stuck someplace in the past, or preoccupied with our anxieties and fears, perhaps with the frivolous, the superficial, the mundane, the incidental, and the accidental, missing the larger picture of life, the broader perspective, a deeper understanding because of the way we think. There is so much more to the world than what we hear and see on smart TV. It was George Bernard Shaw who said, only 5% of the people think. Only 15% think they think. The other 80% would rather die than think. If I were to pose the question, which percentile do you and I fall in? Naturally, all of us would include ourselves in the top 5%. But what about the other 95%? The 15% who think they think, and the 80% who would rather die than think. Those who would rather impulsively react to whatever happens in life rather than to carefully assess the situation, weigh their options, assume responsibility for the consequences of their decisions. Or those who accept whatever commentary the news media offers or current events, rather than question the completeness or the accuracy of the information and formulate their own tentative judgments. Or those who identify with the celebrity culture, the lives of the rich and famous, the glitter and the glamour, rather than discern how truly shallow many of those lifestyles are. I'm not talking about who controls the White House political agenda, or the multinational corporations, or the news media, the military establishment, or the entertainment industry. I'm talking about who controls your mind. The writer of Proverbs has said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she." The central question that I wish to put before us is how free is your mind? How free is your mind? Allow me to administer a short 5-question mental status evaluation. Number 1, how free is your mind to explore, discover, experience, and meaningfully reflect upon the entire world? Is it your attitude toward the world? Life is just a dull, drab, monotonous, boring existence? How free is your mind to encounter the diverse makeup of our global society, other peoples, other cultures, other nations, other religions, other ethnicities? Or is your mind so culture-bound that you equate the whole wide world with your own Americanized, apple pie eating, baseball playing, capitalistic, individualistic, materialistic version of reality? How free is your mind to deal with the day-to-day challenges of the real world, with all of the anxiety, complexity, ambiguity, paradox, irony, pressures, frustrations, and conflicts? Or is your mind controlled by a self-defeating attitude which criticizes you, condemns you, undermines you, degrades you, inhibits you, imprisons you, dehumanizes you, or otherwise prevents you from realizing your own possibilities? How free is your mind to accept other people for who they are? Or do you habitually relate to others based upon your expectations of who you want them to be, what you want them to say, how you want them to act? How free is your mind to accept yourself? Or does your low self-esteem constantly need someone else to validate you, to prop you up, to affirm you, to compliment you, to make you feel important, to assure you that you are God's gift to earth? I am fascinated by how, despite our level of formal education, human beings engage in self-contradictory, self-deceiving, self-defeating behaviors. We sabotage our own efforts to succeed rather than to do that which is truly in our best interest. Who was it that said? Pugo, I believe, "We have met the enemy and he is us." How many of you have seen the movie Aquila and the Bee? The movie allows us to share a young African-American girl's dream to win the National Spelling Bee. But for 11-year-old Aquila Anderson, life is not easy. Her father has died. She feels ignored by her mother. Her brother runs with a local gang. She is teased at school. She's smart, but intelligence without the will to succeed is not enough. Intelligence without the will to succeed is not enough. Her old inner voice was saying to her, "This is all an exercise in futility. It's not worth it. I don't have the experience others have. I don't have the ability others have. I don't have the family support system that others have." But with the help of her coach, she drew upon an inner source of strength that enabled her to block out her distractions and remain focused on her goal. A new voice began to replace her old voice where she had been stuck in the past. Her "I can't" became "I can." Her "I won't" became "I will." Her I'm not became I am. She wins the local school spelling bee. She wins the regional spelling bee. The possibility of making it all the way to the national spelling bee becomes more and more real. But only if she can overcome her distractions and remain focused on what she has set out to achieve. If she can leave where she has been stuck. An important lesson of the movie for me was that you can be your own worst enemy or you can be your own best friend. By your thoughts, you either bless yourself or you curse yourself. And the first step, as I've said before, is only a prayer away. Like Aquila, we draw upon the source of our own inner power, whatever you call it, God, Spirit, inner light, truth, the force. It can release you from the guilt of the past, the guilt and the shame, from anxiety surrounding us in the present that claims so much of our time and energy to feel secure. Defenses. It releases us from fear over a future that we cannot control. It will give you something to live for, to work for, to struggle for, to fight for, and yes, even to die for. But we must rise above the noise of the crowd and the mediocrity of the masses. Free your mind from the jealousy, the envy, and the resentment of others. Free your mind from the childish, petty, trivial, frivolous, insignificant, simple-mindedness, irrelevant, immaterial, inconsequential, insubstantial, superficial nonsense. Free your mind from the idle gossip, what he said, she said, he did. Free your mind from the tit for tat, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, I'm going to get you back mentality, retaliation. Free your mind from wishful thinking, wishful thinking that's always setting traps for us. Wishful thinking that lives in fantasy and looks at life through rosy tinted glasses instead of in the real world. Free your mind from regrets over a past that you cannot change. Worries over a future that hasn't arrived yet. Finally, free your mind from preoccupation with your own problems and issues, concerns and worries, anxieties, frustrations and conflicts. And take into consideration the plight of others, the concerns of others, the condition of others. I invite us to ponder not the chains we wear around our necks, but rather the chains and shackles around our minds. The mental chains that limit what you think, what you feel, what you will, what you decide, and what you act upon. Self-imposed limitations. Self-imposed limitations. Now, this is not to suggest that there are not real limitations that society places upon us based upon race or gender or class or sexual orientation, but the unnecessary limitations which we develop over time and impose upon ourselves. As a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. Amen. Oh, the depth of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, how inscrutable are his ways. For who has known the mind of the Lord, and who has been his counselor? Or who has given a gift to him that he might be repaid? For from him, and through him, and to him are all things. To him be glory forever and ever. Amen.